My name is Jeremy Chetty. I'm the co-founder of Student Edge and the entrepreneur in residence at Murdoch University. And it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all this morning. We do this once a month, where it's an opportunity for two founders to present their business. And in some instances, it's the first time they're actually pitching their business. So we always ask our audience to go gentle on them. But this is a great platform for them to get some feedback. That's the main reason why we're here today, is get some feedback, get some support and help and encouragement for these founders that are, like I said, pitching for the first time. So we do this once a month. So I'd like to thank you all for making time. I will keep it to time as well. So it's just an hour over your day. But yeah, I just wanted to, before we start, just do an acknowledgement to country. I know we're doing this event online, but we will do an acknowledgement. So we acknowledge the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of this country and its waters, and that Murdoch University stands on Noongar country. So we pay our respects to the Noongar elders, past and present, and we acknowledge their wisdom and advice and our teaching and cultural knowledge activities, like this one here, where we're talking about entrepreneurship and innovation. So let's get started. I'll just quickly run through the format for this morning. So like I said, we have two founders that will pitch, and they get 6 minutes each. So we'll have a timer. They get 6 minutes to pitch their startup or their business idea. And then we open it up to the floor for some questions, and everyone gets an opportunity to ask a question. I'll kick it off with a question, and that allows you to have some time to think about yours. You can also pop in the chat some of your questions as well. If you're not in a position to actually ask it, you can just pop it in the chat, and I'll ask the question on behalf of you to the founder. So why don't we get started? Like I said, I'd love to introduce you to Ramon and Rio. They're both Murdoch University current students, so currently studying, but also working on separate businesses and their startups. So very proud to introduce both these gentlemen today. I said before you guys all came on the call, they're both looking $1 million. So they're looking very sharp and ready to present. So Ramon is the co-founder of WasteLink, and he'll be sharing that second. And then Rio is the co-founder alongside some of his founders that are on the call as well, presenting RDF Energy. And he's actually going to kick us off first. So I'd like to open the floor. If everyone, in terms of their mics, can go into mute, and then we can unmute after the 6 minutes and go through some questions. But I'd like to welcome Rio from RDF Energy, who's going to present his startup today. So welcome, Rio, and thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Satryo Pakila. I'm a co-founder of RDF Energy. So RDF Energy is an alternative energy developer with very exciting and new outlook to convert waste into fuel that can supplement or replace fossil fuel. So we have enormous global challenges with waste. So every year the world generates 2 billion tons of waste, and over 40% goes to our landfill. So, and converting waste into fuel is not something new. It's been done. However, only fresh and household commercial waste that can be converted. At RDF Energy, we have developed and engineered the process within our integrated waste management processing plan to be able to reclaim and convert all in situ landfill by excavation or mining the below ground waste. And this has never done, no other company has ever done it before. Our technology is so unique that we have been advised by a patent attorney to apply for a trade secret for lifetime protection. And other than being able to convert all in situ, there's no emission in our process because we don't burn the waste. And one of our competitive advantage that we are able to create different calorific value and be able to meet the client requirements of the energy. Other than that, our fuel is, in terms of cost, is 11 times less expensive than diesel fuel. With our process, we'll be able to have a landfill and environment protection, Because of the type of fuel that we create, it's easy for transportation, and we be able to reduce our customer emission by using our fuel. And looking at the market size, just Australia alone, every year we actually generates 20 million tons of waste that goes to our landfill. And imagine with our process, we can convert 1 million tons of landfill into $42 million in return. And so far, we actually see zero value from this waste, or in fact, it actually has a huge cost to us. And looking at our business model, we will be working closely with local council, where we accept and charge a gate fee for all the landfill waste. And this fee is much lower than the cost to actually dispose the waste. And then we sell our end products to our end customer, such as cement manufacturer. So to this date, we have a very positive inquiries and interest. And our main interest traction is in Thailand, where we have secured both supply, buyer agreement together with landfill access, making it a ready-to-go project. In our city, Perth, we have ongoing discussion with numerous local council and shires, and all of them have shown interest with our project. And we are also very excited that we just secured a partnership with a worldwide waste management company. And this is the founders with expertise from waste management, emission control, combustion, chemical, mechanical engineering, together with logistics, to be able to make this project successful. We are looking for 2.5 million in funds to build the initial processing plant in Thailand, and to move our project to the next project phase, and to build our headquarters here in Perth, with an estimated annual net income of 3.8 million per unit. Within 3 years, we will have 5 units already in operation. Your investment of 2.5 million will be 750% based on market value within 18 months. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very exciting time, because not only is it a $1 billion opportunity, but it's also an opportunity to impact billion lives of people. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward for all of you to be part of this. Thank you, and no time to waste.
Thank you very much for that, Rio. And yeah, great presentation, but well done. And yeah, no time to waste. Of course, you've got extra couple of minutes up your sleeve as well. So no, thank you for that. Yeah, well done. Obviously, I've been quite familiar with this startup, along with your team, with Russell and Lynn and Eunice, and I've always thought it's a great idea. But look, in terms of questions, so while everyone is, I guess, thinking about some of their questions for Rio, and of course the team as well. So the team are also on the call, so you feel free to also answer some of the questions that get thrown out. But in terms of going first, so Rio, what's been the feedback? I know the Thailand opportunity sounds very exciting, and I know a lot of those funds are going to be used for that. But what's been the feedback from the local market around RDF and what you guys are trying to do?
Yes, I think our idea comes at the right time, because, for example, so the ongoing discussion, we have really already talked with several local councils. For example, in Australia, there's a landfill site in Tamalapa. So this based on, and it's already on the news as well, within 5 to 7 years, the landfill will be full. And if we keep continuing doing this is, the idea is just open another landfill and dump our waste in there, but it's not an ideal solution. And after talking just with a couple of local council, they're actually interested to have more discussion to be able to actually have this project in Australia.
Fantastic. So I'll just get just a follow-up question around the business model. So you've also had interest from local councils, not just the Thailand opportunity, but you've had interest from the local councils willing to also pay?
Yes.
Yep. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I haven't seen any questions come in the chat, so I'll just throw it out to the floor if anyone's got some questions for Rio and the team.
I've got a question.
Yeah, hey Keith, welcome. Thanks, sir.
Yes, I'm aware that, well, actually, a friend of mine used to run a company that basically extracted the methane out of landfill project and then used that to generate electricity. And I'm just wondering how what Rio's project is different from just pulling the methane out of the existing landfills.
Yeah. Okay. Great question, Kate. Thanks so much for that question. Yes, there are companies out there actually already doing, because methane is actually can be a source of energy because it's a gas and that can be turned into energy. What makes us different? We're not actually taking that methane, although it's a possibility. We're actually taking that solid waste from that landfill by excavation, and we're actually mining the landfill. So that's what we call the unique, what makes us unique in there.
And can you just explain that? Because obviously it took me a little bit to get my head around even the mining aspect of it, Rio. So you're not taking you're taking the existing landfill that's already been there. Can you explain that process? Yeah.
So basically, what first thing, I mean, every landfill will have different characteristics based on the calorific value. Yep. And initially, what we're gonna do is actually we do the testing of the landfill. But that's actually just to making sure that we can take a careful planning to do the excavation and mining. And yeah, basically it's just excavation. After that, we just excavate all the grounds, the below grounds waste, and then we bring it to our processing plant.
Okay. Cool. I'm just looking on the floor. Any other questions? Who's got a question? Taking the song. Yeah.
Sorry, if there's no questions, I'd just like to sort of maybe I could help Keith and help Rio explain to Keith just a bit further. Yeah. If you take there's an old Orange Grove tip here in Perth, and at the moment they're actually mining the methane gas from it. And if you imagined it like a rugby league field, they gain yards, so they start at one end, and then they'll mine the methane, move along, mine the methane. That's actually, we're also aligned with an American company who actually does that worldwide, and we would send them in to commence mining the methane, capturing the methane, and then the advantage we also have with then we follow them and we will mine the in situ landfill waste. Now we not only can turn that into a raw fuel, but we can also pyrolyze it and turn it into gas, adding to the methane. So if Tamala Park, the new tip site is going to be at Neerabup, and it's right opposite the emergency gas-fired power station for summer. So, for example, with Tamala Park, we could actually mine the methane from it first, and then start following the mining of the methane and mining the waste behind it. So the land itself at Tamala Park can either be reused for, at the moment, it's only commercial value because you're not allowed to build on a tip. But once we've re-engineered it, filled it, then it's retail value. And the value of the land itself, Tamala Park, would go from, say, right now from $10 million to at least $300 million once we'd finished taking the waste away to our IWMPP. If that helps you, Keith.
That makes a lot of sense. So first you remove the methane that's already built up there. Then you pull out the resources that should probably never been in there in the first place. And then you sell off the land. And I, looking, Henderson tip is my local one. And yeah, that's at some point will be extremely valuable industrial land.
We'd love to meet up with you and have a discussion.
Yes. Yeah, no, waste is not my area. Housing is my area.
Yeah.
We'll clean the land, you build the houses. Thanks, Keith.
Good. Yeah. That's awesome. Any other questions? I mean, I've got a, well, while someone's thinking about it, I've just got a follow on. I guess everyone's kind of wondering, how did this Thailand opportunity come about? You know, it sounds very, very interesting and appealing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. With the Thailand opportunity. So we have also our other co-founders who has massive experience in waste treatment and combustions. So he's got a company in Thailand. So that's how he actually funded the initial startup. And he from there we actually built our prototype of the plan in Thailand. And based on there, we just see opportunity in Thailand because it's especially in Southeast Asia, it's the landfill waste is just massive, and especially there's not a really good way of managing the waste in Thailand. So, and from there we already secure a couple of like supply agreement, landfill access, which is much easier for us to access. So that's how we actually started get a traction in Thailand.
Fantastic. It just sounds like a really good opportunity, but also like the fact that you're doing some validation with the local market as well, because I guess a lot of, especially potential investors, would want to know that. I also like the fact, is there a reason why you're choosing Perth? Is it because you all reside in Perth? Because that's big about having headquarters in certain places. You're working on a global product. Can you share your thoughts around that?
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. So one of the reasons is because most of the co-founders reside in Perth, and other than that, we actually have already we are actually building our connection in Perth. So, but the main goal is actually to go global, because that's how we see the potential, not only in Thailand, but we can go in Australia and Southeast Asia, and we'll see from there. Yeah,
well, we're on the same time zone, which really helps.
Yes,
we're targeting our neighbours in Southeast Asia, so Perth is well placed. But no, it's wonderful you've chosen that. I'm going to throw to the floor again because I feel like I'm hogging the questions now. But
can I ask a question, actually, Jeremy?
Hey, Marlon, thanks for joining us.
Marlon.
Hey guys,
Marlon has been very kind in also supporting RDF. But yeah, Marlon.
Yeah, well, I might be a bit biased in that regard, but first of all, I think Rio did a great job, great presentation, Rio. You know, like I really love what comes across, that it is, I think, the right timing to go into that direction. I mean, that's where the world is moving towards. How can we actually get rid of things that are harmful for the environment and potentially even turn them into energy, into things that are actually of value. So I just think it is interesting as well, Rio, and I know your reason why you're doing this. We have been talking about that, but maybe you can also tell the audience a bit what is the drive behind this? Why are you so, you know, ambitious and full of energy about it?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much, and for that question, Marlon. I love to share my story as well. I mean, for personal reason, for example, personal motivation. I'm originally from Indonesia, and the waste is just massive in Indonesia, and people just like you know, it's different with Australia where it's everything in control, but not Indonesia, and maybe not in Indonesia, other Asian country, it's just not well ethically and environmentally managed, and that actually my main drives, because when I see this potential, like, this can not only change like one country, it can help many countries. So, and other than that, we, again, as one of the young co-founder in the team, I like the idea of actually getting the climate change, environmental action, that actually we take action of the climate change, and waste is one of the reasons why we have a lot of trouble with climate change.
And I think that is something that the world will be facing as well over the next centuries, right? And cleaning that mess up again for the future generations. So yeah, I love the fact that it is a technology that can really, you know, change massive problems. And I think it's great that you guys are working on these issues.
And Well answered and a great question, Marlon. I just want to just further that question, Marlon, because you've raised a really good point about the why. And I think, Rio, in terms of feedback, I know you've shared your why, we know your why, but I guess for the audience and the people you're going to pitch to in the future, don't forget that that's a powerful message to start your pitch as well. You have done it previously, but Marlon's just asked a really good question that just reminded me that have that at the front of your when you're pitching next time.
Definitely, yeah.
Because your why is so strong, and it's really important when talking to audiences, not just investors, but just anyone you speak to. Everyone also loves to know why you do what you do, and why did you get involved with RDF and so forth. But you have shared that before, but I guess great reminder. Thanks for that, Marlon. Stuart, probably get time. I promise I'll keep you all on time. So probably just do this one last question and then we'll move on. Stuart, I'm not sure if you can ask that question, but you've dropped it into the chat. Did you want to ask the question, or do you want me to? It's probably on mute. Okay, cool. Rio, he's asked a question around, have you looked at India? As a market, and there's a bit more to it in the chat, but
yes, with India, we definitely it's a potential market, because similar. We know how bad the terms of the waste management in India as well, and not only India. Actually, we have spoken to couple of countries. We can so far India is one of them. We also have discussion in Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Malaysia, and even Laos. So because we see that, I mean, this is a global challenge, and that's how we see it. So far, yes. The quick answer, yes. We also look into India.
Yeah, and obviously he put in some context on there around the clothing issue around landfill.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for that, Stuart. Yeah, totally understand.
Jeremy.
Yep.
Hi, this is Andre.
Hey, Andre.
May I just quickly make a comment and ask a question in there as well before we move on?
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we'll do it as the final one. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, mate. So great presentation, Rio, and I unfortunately missed the initial part of the conversation, so I'm not quite sure what you were, what materials you were going to harvest, and maybe that's something that's tied up in your IP and patenting, but perhaps if you could expound on that a bit. But before you do that, I just wanted to and I'll put it in the chat there. There's some government funding opportunities, and the government, federal government recently announced $100 billion, but also state government, and maybe there might be an opportunity there for you to leverage off of some government funding to set this up. I also particularly like your comment about state and federal government working to be better in terms of managing waste streams, and so perhaps a young startup like yourself might better encourage those practices. And to me, what that would do is it would better help you harvest your materials out of the landfill. So say, for example, the waste streams are managed in a certain way where metal, for example, is managed in a certain portion of the landfill, or whatever materials you're looking to harvest. When it comes to extracting it at your end, that certainly makes it easier to. But also, I guess, from a management perspective, you know where your risk is in terms of toxic chemicals, for example, compared to locations within the landfill that are less risky, shall we say, from a cleanup perspective. So, my question was around what sort of materials might be harvested. You might be harvesting, and I know methane was mentioned as an initial as something to be initially harvested, but was it metals or a combination of a whole bunch of things? And apologies again for missing the initial part.
Yep. Thanks so much, Andre, for the question and for sending us the information with the grants. That's something definitely when we actually speak with other people, they actually refer us to apply for government grants, because this is such an like a really good idea and solution. And to answer your question, so with the material that we can take, we definitely can any type of plastic, including the non-recyclable plastic, because that's actually really big problem with plastic. We can also take paper and cardboard, rubber, including tires, and anything that has combustible value that can increase the caloric value. And to support the answer, we don't take metal, we don't take any rubble like stone, bricks, or concrete, glass, and PVC. However, we also see this as an opportunity to be able to recycle what we cannot convert. For example, metal, we can still be able to like recycle it, and probably and other industrial material, because those type of materials cannot be used as a fuel, but still can be recycled.
Thanks for that, Rio. That was a great response. And I'm sure, like with everyone else in the call, I wish you good luck. This is definitely a critical component of us as a species surviving into the future. And so if we don't literally clean up our act, we're not going to exist for very much longer. So well done and good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks, Andre, and a great question, and great answer too, Rio. And Andre also is one of the dynamos at Harry Perkins Institute. So thanks for joining us as well. And Andre, I know you're joining us from Harry Perkins, but mate, I'd love to be in Tahiti with you right now, or Fiji or the Maldives, wherever it is, mate. That's an awesome backdrop you've got there, which is actually moving. Okay, so I might just cut it off there and say thank you very much, Rio, for presenting that. Well done to you and your team for getting this far. And just want to say that, yeah, you're tapping into one of the global problems that we need solved into the future. So I wish you all the best as well for me too. Yeah, Harry Butler, got them. Thanks, Andre. Okay, we're going to throw straight to Ramon in the essence of time. So I'd like to welcome, thanks Rio. I'd like to welcome Ramon, who's also one of our Murdoch students, who's the co-founder of WasteLink. And I'd like to also say that this is the first time that Ramon is presenting, because this is an early stage conceptual startup here that he's going to be presenting us today. So I'll throw to Ramon. Welcome, Ramon.
Cool, cheers, Jeremy. And yeah, great presentation, Rio. I was in a meeting before and I'm near the Kalamunda Hills. So I'm going to disable my video in the interest of bandwidth, and I'll enable the video again at the end of the presentation.
No worries.
So let me just stop my video and I'll share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see this and everyone can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, let me just start my timer so I don't go over time either. 1 second. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ramon Skane, and today I'll be introducing you all to the latest innovation in circular economy thinking and the future of recyclable waste management and communication. For this presentation, I'm very proud to introduce the Uber for Waste, WasteLink, a private entity with a dream to clean up the world in the most efficient, fast, and effective way possible, while simultaneously optimizing the responsible consumption and production of all recycled materials possible. We at WasteLink believe that no opportunity should go to waste and that every waste is an opportunity. Our very diverse WasteLink team operating in Perth and Dubai, all from Murdoch University, is made up of myself, Abdul Kader, and Stephanie Parshia. We all met through the 2021 United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Challenge, and despite our very different personal, professional, and educational backgrounds, we've worked together towards our common love for sustainable development and have founded WasteLink together. So the predominant issue that WasteLink will solve relates to the utter catastrophe that human-generated waste is for the world's environment and economy. Whether it's hectares upon hectares of mismanaged methane-spitting landfill sites, plastics in animals' respiratory systems, microplastics in unbirthed human fetuses, eutrophication and pollution of drinking water bodies, or the general eyesore and poor sanitation of everyday waste fluttering about our homes and cities, the issue of waste and how to properly manage it is a very big problem which we all face as the collective humanity. Now, despite several opportunities existing to mitigate large volumes of waste, such as industrial waste being used in concrete, plastics for container deposit schemes, and organic waste being used for biogas power, as of 2019, a conservative estimate by the Australian government estimated that 87% of waste generated in Australia is not recycled. It mostly goes to landfill. So how can there simultaneously be so many opportunities for waste recycling, but such a small amount of recycling actually being done? Well, the fundamental problem here is that there is little incentive for the average consumer to recycle. So let's go into this a little bit. Anyone who knows anything about recyclable waste management knows that the first fundamental step is to separate wastes. Now, for many people today, separating one's waste isn't too much of an issue, provided that they've been shown how to do it right and there's an incentive to do it. This is step one. After waste separation, the disposer now must navigate in their own time their way to a disposal point. This is step two. An example of this can be seen from the container deposit scheme in Australia, where people initially raced into separating their waste properly just to make 10 cents per bottle upon proper disposal at a kiosk. But after their second mountain of plastic bottles were recycled, they'd be met with long lines and wait an hour to dispose their waste just to make $10. Soon enough, the average person didn't think it was worth their time to do step two, even though they're willing to separate their wastes in step one for others. So to be clear, there's nothing wrong with these people. They're just like me and you. They want to do the right thing, but just don't have the time to do it conveniently. But it is this inconvenient barrier between steps 1 and 2, which is leading to so much unrecycled waste, which we need to solve. So we break this barrier at WasteLink. Essentially, we're the Uber for waste, with an app that links disposers of waste with acceptors of wastes. This is the WasteLink. For example, when a WasteLink worker turns on the app, they're met with several waste disposers who all pay a subscription fee to the app depending on their waste and want their waste to be collected. But what's the incentive for them? Well, apart from us coming to pick up your separated waste directly from you, the incentive could also be a combination of the waste data analytics from the app, which they can use in reporting, advertising, R&D, educational purposes, collaboration with other WasteLink programs, the list goes on. On the WasteLink app, each of these stakeholders can compare their performance with one another. Here are the top 20 WasteLinkers in your area. At WasteLink, we also promote social entrepreneurship of individual stakeholders. Now, on the other hand, the waste acceptors, such as industrial stakeholders who run companies making products from waste or want to know more about the waste they indirectly generate, pay for information from WasteLink and use their annual recycled and mitigated greenhouse emission quantities from the app against their competitors and in collaboration with their commercial partners. Similarly, with government stakeholders who run incentive schemes to minimize waste, they can use the information for better social engagement with the community and with educational institutions. Again, the list goes on. Now, because WasteLink's innovative and holistic framework engages so many stakeholders along the supply chain of almost any product, it enables for the clearing of pollution, robust data collection, and the mitigation of greenhouse gases, such as from landfills, just to name a few, addressing a significant amount of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. WasteLink isn't just an idea though. It's not all theoretical. We're practical, and the fact is the world needed to be cleaned up properly decades ago. This is our mission as WasteLinkers. Sure, we're only 3 weeks old, but we've already gotten started. We're not waiting around. Here's me doing the first ever WasteLink and a screenshot of our mobile app prototype. It's already happening fast. We at WasteLink believe that no opportunity should go to waste and that every waste is an opportunity. In terms of right now, our main ask is looking for collaboration and potential partners at a very early stage. And here are the references, and that is it. Thank you for listening. That's me done.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Ramon. And well done. How do you do this while studying, mate? So that's wonderful. What's the Ramon story? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is my first question.
Why am I doing what I'm doing?
Because obviously I know you and a background from you, obviously from previous programs, but I just thought for the audience today, this is a wonderful idea. Why is Ramon doing this?
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, so I very recently graduated from the environmental engineering course at Murdoch, which is great. And I'm working 2 engineering jobs, and I have 2 startups, including this one. And I guess my why is, look, the world needs to be changed. It sounds very, very hippie and maybe a bit dreamy, but I think the world can be changed. And I'm a very strong believer in the free market, and that, look, the reality is free market changes the world quicker and sometimes better than governments do. Usually with the aid of the government, sure, but it is my opinion that it's the free market that changes the world. Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, and that's what I'm trying to do with all these startups.
Great, that's great response. All right, I might throw to the floor. I've got a couple of questions, but I'm going to throw to the floor first.
Go for it.
Questions, audience. I'm just looking around. A lot of people got their videos off, so I can't see, but.
I have a question.
Hey, Jen, go for it.
Can you hear me? Yeah. You said that you also, like the system will help to support social entrepreneurship of individuals. I'd love to know a bit more about that.
Sure, yeah. So obviously, there's going to be a smaller amount of waste collected from the individual stakeholders, the households. But in terms of social entrepreneurship, they can sign up for the WasteLink app, and because eventually we're going to need some workers as well, so they can have their own spin-offs. They can compare with other individual stakeholders as well, and they can do their own spin-off programs. Like, for instance, one thing we want to do with this is do a lot of presentations. So our sort of incentive for the educational stakeholders and maybe government stakeholders is presentations. So, it's going to be presentations to primary schools, high schools, and also academics at universities in terms of research collaboration. So in terms of those entrepreneurship skills like pitching, public speaking, presenting, we're also providing an opportunity for that for the individual stakeholder. If that answers your question. Cool, yeah.
Awesome, thanks, Jen. Great question, by the way. Any more questions from the floor? No? Okay. Ramon, you've got, just explain to me, because I guess you've got, I know it's still conceptual, and even though you've done a bit of a manual prototype, which is fantastic, but I kind of see you doing a software and a hardware play here in terms of there's an offline and an online element. What's WasteLink's focus? Is it going to be more around the app and the data and going down that end, or are you actually going to get involved in the offline aspect? Because I see also picking up the rubbish and delivering, picking up and delivering it. Well, I guess in terms of focus, where do you see WasteLink playing? Because you obviously can't do both at the same time. Where's going to be your focus, and where would you see getting your MVP off the ground?
Well, right now, at this point where the app is still being developed, but it's getting there very quickly, it's going to be mostly the hardware. It's going to be us physically collecting waste. But in the long term, the idea is the app will be fully operating, and we'll have all these stakeholders lined up. And it's just a matter of, just like Uber, you have workers who are willing to go on the app and start taking people around. It's similar with this, except people are going for waste. So obviously there are some considerations there in terms of, what car do they have, how much waste can they take, what type of waste are we talking about? We're talking plastics, we're talking organics, we're talking wood chips. There's a lot of waste there as well. And the idea behind this framework is we can use many wastes. And so in the long term, the idea is to have a fully functioning app that just links up these waste acceptors with these waste donators who can work by themselves to figure it out, because the problem is that communication barrier. So
can you give us an idea then, what does an MVP look like? And I know you didn't have a specific ask at the end, but what would you be needing, especially in this forum, in terms of help, if you had to get an MVP off the ground? What does that look like for you? And do you need money? Do you need,
right now, we don't need money, to be honest, because a lot of the stuff we can develop by ourselves, which we're doing. So right now we're looking at mainly partnerships, collaborations. I haven't, again, this is a very early thing in the startup. So we're still doing a bit of market validation even, but, we're going to be approaching educational institutions, including Murdoch, local government shires, commercial business. I used to work at Macca's for 4.5 years. So hopefully I can go there without any PTSD and ask them to get on board. But the main thing I'm trying to ask from here is, yeah, like collaboration, partnerships, and also, yeah, you know, some advice, feedback would be great.
Yep. Well, it's already starting to come. It's already starting to flow in the chat, mate. So both Andre and Keith have popped some stuff into the chat. Andre, I don't know if you want to talk about that in terms of, I'm not actually familiar with that hackathon, so thanks for sharing that. Do you want to share anything around that, Andre?
Yeah, sure. This is just a very recent development, Jeremy. So obviously, Ramon, great presentation, and you're a bit of a rock star for the Institute. So happy to pump up your tires and promote your work any way I can, mate. I did want to also sort of add, and this is by the by, I think it's remarkable what Launchpad are doing here to encourage our students to kind of find a platform for further work out there and create an opportunity to just to kind of, you know, commercialize your research. I don't think we've got enough of it, certainly at the university at the moment, and I think this is a great platform that you guys have built. So definitely kudos to you guys. Ramon and Rio, for both of you. So we've only just recently found out about this. It's a hackathon that's scheduled for March 2022. We don't have the exact dates, but basically IBM are looking to pull together a team, and it'll be by invite only. 90 participants apparently, and they're looking to get you know, the big end of town, the Woodsides, Shell, and then the energy utilities companies, Water Corp, etc., and really examine some of those sustainability issues. And even before this call, I'd suggested that you might be one of the people we'd like to bring along. So they're looking for a mix of problem statements from big business and obviously some creative minds and people like yourselves to come up with the solutions for the future. So I'd like to see if there's an opportunity to invite both of you to that hackathon, and if you're keen to come along. It's a 2-day event apparently. We don't have dates yet, but if you're keen to come along, I'd be happy to recommend your names for that one.
Wicked. Cheers, Andre. Thanks for joining us from the beach as well.
There's a story behind that, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it's moving as well. Most back.
Yeah.
So well done.
Got a question,
thanks, Andre. Hey, Keith, you've also dropped some stuff in there about Climate Clever. I actually haven't heard of that app as well. I don't know if you want to share anything around that, but that seems like a nice little app that we could investigate. But Keith, if you wanted to.
I don't know that much about it. I'm not actually involved with Climate Clever.
Yep.
This is an initiative that came out of Curtin University, the competition. Yep. What they're doing is they started working with students going into schools and helping students to understand how to better deal with climate change, you know, having their part, reducing their footprint. And they've recently started an app where you can use it. I actually haven't, I know the founder, but I haven't looked that much into it. But I feel like they would make a really good partnership with this. The other thing that occurred to me in this is bars. I have had the strange occurrence of, I don't spend much time in bars, but I happen to be standing outside of a bar when they came out with the milk crate full of bottles. And the amount of glass that most bars are producing, and most of the time is going directly into the bins because nobody can be bothered to sort it. And so it's just going into a skip bin. So the amount of glass coming out of most drinking establishments is astounding. And yeah, it's just ending up in landfill. So yeah.
Okay, that's a really good point you've raised, because I guess, Ramon, you know, in terms of your MVP, you know, you can't go after everybody. You're dealing with such a massive problem. You can only start with a niche or a small part of the market to validate the model. And Keith, bringing up bars and stuff, that's quite, you know, when I say easy, but it's a relatively easy clientele or market you could go after, and you could talk to one group that could own, you know, 30 pubs and have a partnership with them to start a trial. And I'm sure anything to get rid of their waste in a more efficient manner would,
well, it's costing them money.
That's right.
Bins cost money.
So
and at this point a lot of money, which I think is a good thing. So if you can actually turn their waste into money, then you're really going to have something. So
Yeah, really.
Okay.
And the other place is schools.
Yeah.
I used to be the maintenance person for a school, and we were removing from our recycling. It was costing us money to get the paper bin taken away. And they said most schools, most like primary and high schools, are going through a 3 cubic meter bin a week.
Damn.
And that's just paper and cardboard. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot of paper and cardboard coming out of, and I don't know what the, so the skip bin companies are taking that and, but again, it's costing the schools money to every time that bin is emptied. So you can actually start paying them for their product, then yeah. Then you're on to something.
It's a very interesting stat, Keith.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Keith. With the bars thing, you said milk crates and the actual bottles themselves, hey?
Well, I just happen to be standing outside a bar. I don't want to imply that
Good antidote,
no one
though.
believes me.
Good antidote.
And I just saw somebody come out just with milk crates full of beer and wine bottles, and dumped them into the skip bin. And the skip bin was basically full of nothing but glass.
Wow.
But it was a general waste bin.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That they were, spending $300 or $400 to empty every time.
Wow.
The truck came for it, and most of it was a recyclable product. But somebody had to go, oh, these go in this bin, these go in this bin. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, more reason to be around bars, I guess. So that's a bonus for us.
Yeah. For science.
For science and engineering, exactly.
Yeah.
I have to remember that one.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right,
thank you for the comments.
Keep time. We've just got a few minutes left. Just going to throw to the floor. You've got Russell throwing his hand up. Russell, go for it.
Yeah. Ramon, first of all, I thought your presentation was excellent, sensational. And I'm behind you. You're at the developments. I believe that's going to be the future. I think it's tremendous. With putting it into practice, just the collection, can you explain, do you have to be licensed for the different types of waste you pick up? Or how does that work, please?
Yeah, so from my very brief research, I believe the license only applies for hazardous wastes. But that being said, even that can be a bit of a blurred line, because for my other startup, we collect fly ash, which is a hazardous waste technically, and we have no license for that, and we're fine. So there's some hazardous wastes, like nuclear waste type thing, and I guess asbestos type waste you would need some licenses for. But the general waste of glass, plastic bottles and that, the everyday households doing it for container deposit schemes. So that's I think is okay. But you're correct, it's something we do need to look into a bit more. I suppose when it comes to organic wastes, there's a whole logistical problem with that around anyway. Sorry, the answer is a majority of the wastes, from what I understand, that we could collect, we don't need a license for, and we would focus on them first, because we don't want to spend too much time looking to licenses when we can actually be solving the problem already.
Well done. Thank you for the answer. Excellent.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you for the comment. I'll write that down to make sure.
Thanks, Russell. Andre, you dropped a comment into the chat as well. Yeah, definitely builds on your earlier comment about the waste generator going back. 100%. Okay, maybe time for maybe one question from the audience. No, can't see any hands up. I might just ask a question there. So Ramon, in terms of now, I know I'll keep pushing on next steps, but where you're at, what does the next steps look like for you right now that you'd need the support and help? Other than you mentioned partnerships and stuff, and you don't need money. I get that, but what does it practically look like next steps for you now with this project going forward?
Well, it's very interesting because so on the team, one of the other members, Abdul, is the IT expert. I'm more of the engineering presentations and sort of ground going. So my next step is I want to already approach people and say, hey, we're ready, let's do this. Let's do this quick. Let's go. Come on, let's get started. But I need to be strategic in terms of make sure the app is ready enough But then perhaps there are some opportunities where the app isn't actually needed. It's just a matter of email correspondence. So we're currently figuring that out. Again, we're only 3 weeks old, which is, young. So the next steps now is figuring out who can we approach right now, because I am aching to go out there and talk to them. So we're still in internal discussions about that, but hopefully we'll be doing that as soon as possible. I've actually already bought a van. Unfortunately, it's not electric, but that van you saw in the photo, the Hiace, I bought it. I got it secondhand I just fixed it up a bit. And so we're using that, which is great because we can put bulker bags, all this waste in there. And so, yeah, it's going. It's just a matter of catching on and talking to people about it.
I love the passion, and I didn't realize it was 3 weeks old. So that's fantastic, mate. Adam's dropped a comment in there. Comment. Yeah, I want to say, both speakers, well done. Yeah, presented well. Thank you very much for that, Adam, and thanks for joining us this morning as well.
Cheers.
I might just finalise now in terms of closing. If there's any more questions that audience would like to ask before we wrap it up. Can't see anyone's hands up. I'm seeing nods in terms of all good. All right. Well, what I'd love to do is if I can get everyone to take their mute button off, and we'll do a round of applause for both Ramon and Rio for presenting today. So well done to you both.
Cheers.
Thank you very much to both of you for presenting this morning. I love the enthusiasm, the passion. It gives me great hope when I hear from founders like both of you and your teams for looking after our future, for our planet, for good. Someone asked me the other day, or made a comment really, and said, the next generation of entrepreneurs are going to be looking after, how do we feed 7 billion people? How do we educate 7 billion people? How do we look after the health of 7 billion people? So it becomes quite real, and sobering at the same time that we need to do something now. And it gives me great hope in knowing that we've got founders like yourselves that are tackling this. So thank you to you both. Wish you all the best. This is not the end for our interaction, but I just want to wish you all the both, to you and your teams, in taking this forward. If there's anything that Launchpad can do to further support you, we're here to help as well. So thank you to you both. And again, thank you to the audience this morning for your questions and your help and your support. This is the whole point of Launchpad Startup Mornings. We've got a next one coming up next month. Jen and Mel can share that via the newsletter for the dates, but hop on again for an hour of your day, typically on a Wednesday, and support our next generation of entrepreneurs. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Happy Hump Day, and have a good day. Thank you very much, everybody.